All right. Hi, everybody. John Meadows here. It's good to be back. Shirts are now available. So, today we're talking about 5 reasons why you're not getting ripped. It's summer here. So, this is the time when everybody starts to diet. And hopefully, your gyms are starting to open where you're at. I know some of my friends in California, New York, and New Jersey aren't having a lot of luck getting their gyms open, and a lot of states are. But hopefully, you're able to get into the gym and start working hard. And again, most people right now, they're trying to get really, really lean. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. So 5 reasons. Number one is it's a sneaky one. I think one of the biggest reasons why their diets fail is because of snacking. So you eat a meal and then you think, I'll just grab a few bites of this. And then you have another meal, then you say, I'll just have a few bites of that. And I've been guilty of this myself. And I think all of us at one time have done this. But if you really stop and you look at the calories that you snack on throughout the day, sometimes it can be pretty significant. It might be 100, 200, 300 calories. And if the point of your diet was to be in a 200 calorie deficit, they're just want your deficit. So nothing's happening. And, I think back to when I was competing in my 20s. And that's when I can really remember doing this. I'll just have a couple M&Ms here. I'll just have a couple potato chips there. And you start to do that and those calories add up. And the next thing you know, it's like, man, I'm 2 weeks after my show and I'm not ready. So I think snacking is probably the one that is the most common. And people will swear up and down, I'm in a calorie deficit. Why am I not losing weight? Why am I not losing weight? But they're really not. It's really they're sneaking in some food. I would say that's number one. Okay, number two is scale obsession. I have no problem with people weighing themselves every day. I don't have a problem if they weigh themselves every morning and every night. But here's what happens. And again, this has happened to me. I've lived through this too. Let's say you wake up and you weigh, say, 180 pounds. And then when you go to bed, you're 183 pounds. So then you'll have a day where you wake up and you're 182 pounds. Oh my God, I gained 2 pounds. What happened? And people freak out, and there's some really basic reasons why your weight can go up and down. It's really basic, like things like just using the bathroom. Did you use the bathroom or not? How hydrated are you? Are you keeping hydrated? Are you dehydrated? Very, very common. You may salt your food less one day and weigh less. You may salt your food a little bit more. You may have a little bit of extra stress going on in your life. So maybe you get a little bit of a stress response. You hold a little bit of water. That doesn't mean you got fat overnight. And I see this a lot with people. So, I don't know what happened to my weight. I followed everything you said and I gained 2 pounds. And I always tell people when this happens, if you follow the plan, you're fine. You didn't magically start gaining body fat overnight. Now, where I personally struggled was I would get pretty lean and I would hold water in my lower back at nights. That's just for me personally. Some people hold water in other areas, maybe their legs. I see that, sometimes in their stomach. I would hold water in my lower back. So what would happen is I would get up in the morning, my lower back would be really dry and look good. And then when I'd go to bed at night, I mean, man, my lower back's all watery. It felt different, the skin. And I would always be like, oh my God, I ate too much today. I got fat during the course of the day. No, you're just holding a little bit of water throughout the day, which is totally normal. It's actually a good thing. You don't want to go to bed dehydrated. So in particular, when you get for me, it was one of the last couple weeks before a contest is when it would really play tricks on my mind. And I had to just tell myself, you're following the plan. You're following the plan. Stop panicking. Stop worrying. You'll be fine in the morning. But it plays games with your mind, especially when you're deep into a diet. Then it really plays with your mind. So, so don't get obsessed with the scale. I think it is good to look at just to keep an eye on roughly where you're at. But if you're following your plan and the weight starts going, up or down a pound or two randomly, it's no reason to get upset. So then Then what a lot of people do is they'll say, well, I better do an extra hour of cardio, or I better cut an extra 200 calories, and then they'll go overboard. And that's what you don't want to have happen. Or the opposite. Maybe they wake up a little lighter and they go, oh man, I got to eat a lot more today. And then they'll start pounding food. Now, if you wake up and you're way lighter than usual, you may need a refeed. Or if, you wake up 3 days in a row and you're 3 or 4 pounds heavier, then it's like, okay, maybe we do need to figure something out. But don't worry about the little changes. That's number 2. Number 3, you just dropped your calories too low. Now, this is okay initially. You will definitely be on a deficit. I see people advocating 15, 20% calorie drops. So if you weigh, let's just say you're at 2,000 calories. If you drop 20% of your calories, there's 400 calories right there, 2,000 all the way down to 1,600. That's a pretty big drop. I would rather you take smaller drops. I've been talking about 5 to 10% drops in your calories, specifically in the last few videos I've made. I would rather see you do that. When you take too big of a drop, you just don't give yourself somewhere to go. So let's say you go from 2,000 calories down to 1,600 in that example. It works great. 2 weeks, the results are coming in, and then you get stuck. When you eat less, your metabolic rate will go down. That's just what happens as a result of how you're eating. So then what do? What if you take another 20%? So now you got to take another 320 calories out of it. I think you get the point of what I'm saying. If you take too big of drops, you'll have nothing left. You get to a point where you're in starvation, where you literally have no calories left, and now you're headed for trouble. You're going to start losing muscle. There's all kinds of things that are going to happen from that. So don't be so hyper aggressive when you make your calorie cuts. 5, 10% I think is just fine. If you have a lot of weight to lose, then 5 or 10% is still fine. You just need to give yourself more time. So instead of giving yourself 12 weeks, you may need to give yourself 24 weeks. That's the difference. But I generally don't think you need these massive cuts in calories unless you're overeating big time, okay? So cut your calories wisely. That's number 3. Number 4 is compromised weight training. This kind of ties into what I was talking about with calories. You take your calories so low, now all of a sudden you don't have fuel in you to train. Specifically when you take calories out around your workouts, your pre-workout meal. Oh, I'm going to train fasted today so I burn more body fat. No, let your diet, let your caloric deficit dictate your fat burning. Eat before you train so you have energy and you can train hard. So I see a lot of people that don't eat thinking, well, I'm going to go in the gym and just burn a bunch of body fat. And yeah, you may burn body fat as a fuel, percentage-wise more, but you're also not going to be able to train as hard. You're also not going to be able to recover. So you'll probably start losing strength. You'll probably start losing muscle. It's hard to keep all your muscle in a deficit anyway. It's not impossible. It's just hard. So you're really setting yourself up for a fall when you don't fuel your weight training. What I would rather you think is, when I go to the gym, at a minimum, I'm going to maintain my muscle. But my thought process, my strategy is to continue to gain muscle, okay? And if you're in that slight deficit, which I mentioned earlier, the chances of you continuing to build muscle increase. The bigger that deficit is, now you've pretty much killed any chances you have of gaining muscle. So fuel yourself when you go to the gym. Don't compromise your weight training. The more muscle you keep, the better off you're going to be, and the better off you'll look in the end. You don't want to lose a bunch of weight but become a smaller version of what you were. You want to lose body fat. You want to keep your muscle. So that would be number 4.
Hello everybody, my name is Alexander Meadows, and today I'm going to be doing the J-Whip.
And number 5, this could be number 1 very easily. I still go with snacking as number 1. But number 5 is just doing too many things at once. So we have this saying that you're playing too many cards at once instead of playing a card at a time. A card could be cardio. It could be taking fat burning supplements. It could be training more sessions, adding more volume. It could be decreasing your calories. There's all kinds of things you can do to help you lose weight. And if you do them all at once, I've had people in the past, when they start their diet, they say, okay, I'm going to start off, I'm going to go ahead and add 90 minutes of cardio a day. I'm going to cut my calories, 300 calories. I'm going to start on my fat burning supplements, blah, blah, blah. They do all this stuff at once. And the first month is fantastic. Boom. Body fat falls off. And then what do they get? Then what can they do? Well, they're already doing a lot of cardio. They've already made a big cut on their calories. You're not giving yourself somewhere to go. I'd rather you start off by saying, I'm going to add 40 minutes of cardio a day and do that for a week. And then say, okay, now I'm going to decrease 10% of my calories. Run that for 2 weeks. Okay, now I'm going to take my cardio up to 55 minutes and cut my calories 5%. Do that for a week or two. Then, okay, now I'm going to further augment this by adding fat burners, something that helps you burn body fat. So I'd rather you do these things piece by piece by piece. Now, you've got to give yourself time if you use that approach, but I think that's the right approach because it'll give yourself somewhere to go, and you'll also retain more muscle because you're doing it over a longer period of time. But anyways, don't play all your cards at once. That's my fifth and final one. So I hope these 5 tips will help you. I hope you all get back to the gym real soon. I hope all the states open up. Here in the U.S., as I mentioned, it's hit and miss. Some states are open. We're open here in Ohio. Some states aren't. And anyways, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.